Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the Yes Marina circuit here with us, Elite Raceway, for our season 5 finale with our tier 2 group. We are looking forward to this race. Honestly, after 11 rounds of hard racing, it looks like it's all going to come down to this final race, this one final showdown. And honestly, the stakes couldn't be higher. We have three drivers separated by just 8 points, all fighting to be our season 5 ERA Tier 2 champions. So we have Kyle, it's Kyle, El Capitan, and Garen Vitek, our top three drivers competing for the three-way championship title. But looks like we already have our Weatherman Guardians telling us it is going to be a dry race. And we do have, it's going to be 18 drivers today. I believe KP has just joined. Let me see if he needs any help on the Discord chat. And we also have Buddha, who I do see is typing up. So let me see if he is online. If not, I will check him out probably on our list. And hopefully he could join in during the qualifying session. And let's see, I don't see it. All right, no problem. We'll wait until he. Oh, actually, no, it looks like he is online. So let me see if I can double check that again. All right, I don't see him online yet. Give me one second. Alrighty, but it does look like KP has been able to join the session. He is in the Kick Sauber today as a reserve. And sorry for the little pauses, just trying to make sure all our drivers out there. Yes, Buddha. Okay, perfect. Okay, so it's going to be 18 drivers on the grid today. And as I mentioned, it is going to be high stakes here for three of our drivers. We do have, looks like Garen Vitek is going to be our first driver setting a lap. So we will keep an eye on him. But in regards of the championship, so El Capitan in the McLaren holding a total of 273 points. Our new leader on the standings, it seems. So he definitely has to finish ahead of Garen Vitek and Kyle to become the championship. If Garen Vitek wins, El Capitan has to have at least second place, or if I'm not mistaken, has to have the second place plus the fastest lap to stay ahead. And if Kyle wins, then El Capitan has to be in third with the fastest lap to beat him. So it's going to be multiple scenarios. We'll run them over. It might be a little bit too much, but it's also good for our mathematicians over here. But Garen Vitek, guys, we keep an eye on Garen Vitek. So he has 270 points, 3 points away from El Capitan, right in front of him on the standings. Needs to outscore El Capitan by 4 points, and invalidating, unfortunately, so he's going to have to back out of there. And I think we'll keep an eye on El Capitan, who is setting his lap, is ahead, I believe, of actually, no, it looks like Kyle's going to be the first driver. Actually, no, going back into the pits, so El Capitan, we'll keep an eye on him. But as I mentioned, El Capitan has to finish ahead of them. But in terms of Garen Vitek, if he finishes in second, El Capitan has to finish in third to tie it. And honestly, I think in this battle, we do have a high case of potentially seeing tie breakers here. Capitan crossing the line on 123.5. So really good time for El Capitan. We do have Kyle, who is down by 8 points from El Capitan, has a total of 265 points for his Kick Sauber. Really, realistically, he does have to win the championship title. If he wins, Capitan has to at least finish second, as we mentioned, or second with the fastest lap. Uh, so it is a lot of scenarios that we'll be keeping an eye on for this race. Let's see if anybody else is on their lap. And I and I do want to mention that some of these drivers, they were cracking some jokes these past couple of days. Today mentioning the little battle between nationalities for these three. So uh, we do have El Capitan representing the American Stars and Stripes. Garen Vitek flying the Canadian Maple Leaf, I believe. Yeah, the Canadian Maple Leaf. And Kyle bringing that French finesse. So will it be the burgers, the maple syrup, or the croissants having a bit of a taste of the victory there? But Mahasnik crossing the line puts in a 123.6, a tenth away from El Capitan there. And it looks like we did have the Red Bull of high RPM, a 124.0. And speaking of high RPM, he and Garen Vitek, both Red Bulls, are leading the Constructors' Championship at the moment. They do have quite the gap. I will give them that. They have a gap of 39 points. And right behind them are the McLarens of El Capitan and Buddha. So really, if I'm not mistaken, the Red Bulls just have to finish top 6, if I'm not mistaken, to really secure that championship. Well, let's see. We are going to keep an eye on Garen Vitek, who seems to be putting his lap. So, as I mentioned, we are in Abu Dhabi Yas Marina circuit. It is a 5.28 kilometer track, 16 corners, 3 sectors as usual, and 2 DRS zones. So sector 1, as Garen Vitek was going through, we saw a bit of those flowing S's, and honestly a place where you have to really keep the traction. Sector 2 here, where he is going, we do have the 2 back-to-back DRS zones. Honestly, where I think we'll be seeing the majority of the overtakes happening, really. But Garen Vitek really keeping the traction down, using a little bit of battery to pick up the pace a little bit there. A little bit of a hard break, now entering sector 3, which is a very technical final sector. If I'm not mistaken, that's where he invalidated the last lap. Going through the tight corners under the hotel, and also another place where you have to really keep that traction, especially on this corner where he just finished through. We have seen quite a few instances where drivers lose the car in that area. But Garen Vitek crossing the line puts in a 123.3. So our top 2 at the moment, holding second and third for the starting grid. We do have Kai, who has yet to put in a time, and as I mentioned, that crosses the line of 123.4. So really just a tenth separating these 3, and I have a feeling this is going to be a really interesting battle until the end of the race. Let's see, we do have the Mercedes of Guardians, who seems to be putting his hot lap at the moment. And I will say, has been a really exciting season. Lots of these drivers really consistent in attending pretty much all the races. El Capitan, who I think joined in the second race of the season, if I'm not mistaken, is a friend of Guardians, really stamping his ground on this tier and really putting in a fight for the front row. But still keeping an eye on Guardians. We'll take a look if he's able to be up on his time. He's up by 6/10, so that can push him up a couple positions there. And ooh, going a little bit wide there, and unfortunately invalidating. So going to have to go around again, but looks like right behind him we did also have room in sector 2, putting in his lap, finishing up, and is going to be up by a tenth. So that may be enough to put him in a pretty good position, possibly in the top 10 if he's able to pick it up a little bit in these final corners. And looks like Hafrenix mentioning that his his car his wheel disconnected, so unfortunately that's the reason why he is not able to put in a qualifying lap. But Vroom going around the final corner is going to put in a 1:24.8, so pushes him up a position. El Capitan is actually just starting another lap, so we'll keep an eye on him. He does have quite a bit of traffic ahead of him, so the driver is having to keep an eye on their mirrors. Looks like that is going to be KP getting out the way, as well as the Williams of Oliver. So as we mentioned, only a tenth is separating from him and Kyle. We'll take a look to see in his delta. He's actually down on his time. However, you never know where he was able to, where he had lost a bit of that time. So can possibly pick it up in these final corners as well. He does have the Alpine of Eingel, who does seem to be on his lap as well. But looks like he's going to get out the way. Actually, it looks like he has end plate damage. So I do wonder if that gave El Capitan a little bit of dirty air, or looks like he's going to back out of that. And we do have Oh Mama Shan, who is holding provisional pole at the moment. Has put in a purple first sector. And it does seem like we have Kyle, who is out on an outlap as well. So we'll keep an eye on him afterwards once he's able to cross the line. And so Shan, putting in another purple sector, was up by a tenth and a half. And we do have the Haas of Mahasne, who has just crossed the line, puts in a 1:23.1, pushes himself into second at the moment. So Omar Mashan going around the last corner, putting a bit of throttle there, a little bit of battery, and is going to improve with a 1:22.9. And right behind him, we do have Kyle. So Kyle, interesting enough, he was in our Tier 1 race on Saturday as a reserve, and actually put in a time, just taking a quick look at that, his qualifying time was a 1:22.7. So right now holding a 1:23.4. He does have the potential to improve if he was able to put in that time in Tier 1 and qualify in 6. With Kyle putting in a bit of that throttle. And honestly, I absolutely love this track. It's a good thing. I don't think I've heard anybody complaining about this track. It's quite the classic. Honestly, I find it has a lot of opportunity to really, give you to get those overtakes done. Fun fact, I did win my first ever league race here a couple years ago. I think it was like 2 years ago. But Kyle up to 3/10. Has to be very careful on this final sector here. And so Kyle is going to cross the line, puts in a 1:22.8, a tenth away from his fastest lap in Tier 1. So really good time for Kyle there. So that looks like everybody else is in the pits. We do have Oliver going back into the pits. And Brad Hall crossing the line puts in a 1:26.5. That pushes him up 2 positions ahead of Turbo and KP. Looks like Guardians isn't setting a time there. And looks like the majority of the drivers are just in the pits or currently on their outlap. We do have the Haas of Paxaman, it seems. who is going to be starting his lap at the moment, is currently holding P8 for the starting grid right next to his teammate Oliver. And I do see that we have JNB8, a good friend of El Capitan, it seems. I believe I've seen him in a couple races prior. Uh, oh, looks like we do have N Kimbrough who has just, has just woken up. Uh, so N Kimbrough, if I'm not mistaken, is a European driver, plays quite late at night, and has just messaged if it is too late to join. It's we still have 2 minutes of the qualifying session. Uh, he fell asleep again, it seems. Well, let's see. Paxman, keeping an eye on Paxman, trying to use that slipstream from the Red Bull. And let me see if I could send N. Kimbrel an invitation if he's able to join in, if it's not too late for him. Alrighty, but looks like Kyle is satisfied with that time at 122.8, holding provisional pole. Paxman crossing the line. We are going to keep an eye on Garen Vitek and Capitan next. Is only able to improve by 4,000s. So it looks like we have Garen Vitek who is ahead and seems to actually be on a banker lap, not using any battery yet. Alrighty, so we might have 19 drivers on the grid, just making sure that Hulkenberg was able to get the invitation, but keeping an eye on El Capitan. Finishing up here in Sector 2 is actually up by a tenth, almost 2 tenths, putting in a purple second sector. And it doesn't seem like Garen Vitek is going to be able to put in a time. Unfortunately, with the qualifying session, ooh, that is the Ferrari of Vroom, who had a little bit of a mishap right there. But Capitan crossing the line is able to put in a 1:23.0. So that is going to put him in third. We do have Oh Mama Shan, who's finishing up in Sector 3 as well. And if I'm not mistaken, Oh Mama Shan has not... just keeping an eye on the Discord chat. So Omama Shan 122.8. Yeah, Omama Shan hasn't won a race if I'm not mistaken. Mahasne puts in a 122.8 right behind of Kyle and moving Omama Shan down a position. And it does seem like Turbo is our last driver to cross the grid. Alrighty, so this is going to be our last starting grid for Season 5 here in Abu Dhabi. We have Kyle starting on pole position of 122.8. Right next to him is going to be Mahazna. In the second row, Oh Mama Shan with El Capitan. From 5th all the way to the end, we have Garen Vitek, Buddha, High RPM, Moron 1, Paxaman, Oliver Monster, Vroom, Pine, Guardians, Angel, Brad, Turbo, KP, and Hafronic. So those are going to be our drivers today. And honestly, as I mentioned, we're looking forward to this race. It is going to be an interesting season end, especially with how close the standings are. But yeah, looking forward to it. As I mentioned, Guardians, our weatherman Guardian saying is going to be a dry race, which is honestly not that surprising, considering we are in the desert. Alrighty, but just as a reminder for those who are watching for the first time, for those who are on the grid listening in, big reminder not to ready up Uh, we do like to give our drivers a couple minutes to really finalize their strategies and fix up any tweaks on their setups. And for the, I do see Junior Morones asking, what does McLaren need for first in the Constructors' Championship? So, as I mentioned, they are 39 points behind. Both of them, if I'm not mistaken, would need to secure a 1-2, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely a top podium finish for those two. Or worse result for the Red Bulls, they both aren't able to finish the the race or finish in 10th and less. So Red Bull is honestly really holding on quite a really good stance at the moment with the constructors. But regarding our drivers' championship, as I mentioned, Kyle needs that win to solidify that championship title. El Capitan currently in fourth, Gary Tech in fifth. So it's going to be a little bit of a chase down, I think, for the start. And we do have the teammates Buddha and Higher PM starting right next to each other. So I don't know. You don't know if we'll see a Checo Perez defense move from one of these two drivers. But just keeping an eye on the grid, or actually, sorry, for the Discord. So if I'm not mistaken, we only had one safety car in tier one. So you never know; anything can happen. Honestly, there's a bit of runoff on this track, so you might be risking it if you're hoping for a safety car, but you never know. Alrighty, so they do have the ready up. Uh, I already see some friendly banter between our top drivers there. Alrighty, so they do have the formation lap in this group, so they will be going around a lap just to warm up those tires. Alrighty, so let's put all this information up. So just taking a look at the strategy calls. So we do have the grand majority top 10 with the medium tires. We do have 3 drivers with the hard compounds. That is Broom, Turbo, and Hafrenix. And we do have 1 driver starting on the soft tires, and that is Brad Hall. So definitely a difference in tire strategies. Brad Hall most likely looking to make use of those soft tires and go for them overtakes in the opening laps. However, I do think those tires are going to be dying down quite quite sooner than the other ones, of course. But we do have McLaren, Red Bull lined up on the starting grid. Is honestly, I think it's going to be an amazing race. Uh, and of course, for those who already know, we do like to remind our drivers to be very careful in the first lap, especially that first corner. Make sure to respect the space, give the space, and yeah, think the long haul. It's going to be over 20, 25 laps if I'm not mistaken. So don't get too risky. Actually, it's 29 laps, so that's quite a long race for these guys. Alrighty, so they are lining up on the grid. I will most likely be taking an eye on, keeping an eye on Garen Vitek, considering he is second on the championship. Right behind his leader, the leader of the championship, Kyle, in first, and we are off in a few. Both the drivers in the front aiming at each other on the inside. Looking to block that line. So 4 lights, 5 lights. And is... Ooh, Mahasna having a little bit of a slow start right there. El Capitan trying to go around on the outside. And we do have the McLaren of Buddha looking to go on the inside right next to his teammate, choosing to back out. A bit of teamwork right there. Buddha does have quite the pace there on the start, but we do have Garen Vitek who lost that position from El Capitan's teammate Buddha. More on one, making the move on Paxman, it seems, as well. So a really good opening start right there. We do have quite a lot of position changes happening at the moment. Looks like the 2 McLaren drivers, El Capitan and Buddha. Buddha, I wonder if he's aware of, that El Capitan, his teammate, is battling for the championship. But both the McLaren drivers and the Red Bull drivers doing well to keep that pace. We do have Kyle who is maintaining that lead. Let's see, we do have quite a lot of deltas that are less than a second behind each other. We do have DRS that is going to be activated on the next lap, and that is Higher PM losing the car. And that is going to give him both end plate damage, and that is not going to be a good result for the constructors. We'll keep an eye on the point system afterwards, but looks like we do have KP who is going into the pits. I think he might not have realized this was no traction. So yeah, he did mention he didn't want to be a safety hazard for the rest of the grid, but that is going to be yellow flags, if I'm not mistaken, due to KP retiring in the pits. But seems like more on one looking to make the attack on Paxman. Paxman defending the inside line. And more on one is going to get the advantage there, especially with the DRS. We do have up in the front Kyle getting overtaken by, or having a battle with Omamashan there. And so Kyle remaining ahead, that is going to give Mahasnet a bit of a chance to close in a bit. So we do have Buddha who is remaining right behind of his teammate El Capitan. And Garen Vitek still holding on right less than a second behind of them as well. And it does seem like that is another yellow flags. I think that might be Eingel who had a bit of a spin there and is unfortunately missing his left end plate. So he is most likely going to have to pit there. We do have the top drivers now entering the DRS zone. So Kyle doing a really good job to remain ahead of Omamashan, holding that lead. Does seem like Buddha is closing in on his teammate. However, no movement yet. Garen Vitek has to have a really good exit to close in on Buddha, and it does look like he is using that battery, is trying to get that attack done before the corner. However, looks like he might not be close enough to make any movement yet. Oh, Buddha taking a little bit too much of that inside corner there. And oh, that is Garen Vitek who might have might have gone in with a little bit too much speed. Jeez. I saw that from the helicopter view. Oh my goodness. But I think both of them doing well to evade each other. I don't think there was any major contact or any damage. But Yeah, very, very close call from Gary Vitek. I think Buddha might be trying to play the defensive on keeping Gary Vitek behind. And Omar Shan, who has used up a grand majority of his battery, doesn't look like he's going to be able to make a move yet. We do have Gary Vitek closing in, the closest I think, trying to get that move done on Buddha. Still nothing yet. I think it's going to be quite the DRS train for the next couple of laps. As I mentioned, the top 10 starting on medium tires. We did have high RPM who has pit and is on a fresh set of the 3-lap-old mediums. So actually, you know what did high RPM pit? No, he didn't pit. So high RPM trying to keep the car on the track, is racing with both his end plates missing and probably just praying for a safety car. Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, it's 3 laps already, the same as the other ones with the mediums. Alrighty, so high RPM trying to stick it out and hopefully see if that safety car does come out, give him a bit of a chance to change under the extra pit stop. So we are 5 laps in, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a lot of movement happening in the front. Actually, Mama Shan does seem to be closing in on the back of Kyle. So Shan is going to have the second DRS on Kyle. Is he going to be close enough to make a move, though? And it does seem like that is a yellow flags there in Sector 2, well, entering Sector 3, but green flags are out, so they are going to continue racing. So as I mentioned, so Kyle, it's in order to win the championship title, he needs to win. And he needs to win with El Capitan finishing less, well, behind second position. If it stays like this, then Kyle could definitely get the win. However, like I mentioned, as always, you never know, anything could happen. All the drivers really remaining behind. We do have Buddha, who has pushed out over a second behind of his teammates, so he's not going to have the DRS on the next upcoming DRS straights. He does have Garen Vitek now pushing right behind him. I think we might have, actually no, he's still right behind Garen Vitek, getting the move done on Buddha. So Garen Vitek now up to 5th. And Buddha honestly doing a really good job to defend on those first 5 laps. And Mama Shan still looking for that move to make on Kyle. And does now have Mahasne right on the tail of him. And it does seem like El Capitan has joined the party as well, so the top 4 drivers all remaining less than a second behind of each other. Garen Vitek trying to do his best to close in, has cut a little bit of that time. So now 1.3 seconds behind of El Capitan. However, they are going to have the DRS to pull them away a bit, and I do see that is another yellow flags. I believe that is the Alpina Pine seems dropping down a few positions. So Garen Vitek not going to be close enough to get the DRS on this next upcoming sector. So Kyle trying to use that battery to defend. Is Sean going to look to make the move? Not yet. And it looks like with all that DRS, El Capitan has pushed Garen Vitek 2 seconds behind now. And I do see yellow flags. I think that is Moron 1, who may have had a little bit of a mishap, dropping down 2 positions now. And I wonder if he has any damage. It does seem like he's missing his left end plate, so that final sector on with wing damage is quite horrendous. I'm actually surprised Higher PM is doing a really good job to keep the car on the track. Moron 1 quite close to the wall right there. Oh, I'm picking up a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So that is going to hurt. Higher RPM now goes up to 10th. So now Oh Mama Sean closing in much closer to Kyle, and he is going to have the DRS advantage here. However, Kyle using that battery to defend the position. And it does seem like Buddha is trying to get the move done on Garen Vitek. Trying to get that inside line. And both racing side by side. Buddha a little bit off the track, I think. I don't think it was too much, though, to be considered track limits. But Garen Vitek losing quite a bit of time now trying to defend from Buddha. So now 3 seconds behind, and I think Garen Vitek is going to be going into the pits trying to look for that undercut, most likely. But El Capitan now much closer to Mahazne. So as I mentioned, if Kyle is able to win this race, El Capitan needs to actually needs to finish in third with the fastest lap in order to if I'm not mistaken, I think that ties it. And for those who aren't aware, if we do end with a tiebreaker, which honestly I'd be very excited to see that, considering we haven't had that ever. If this finishes in a tiebreaker, we do have a dead heat system where after that we just count how many drivers have had the most wins, who has had, and if that is tied, then we go to the second place, and if that is tied, third place, and so on and so on. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to see how this goes. But it looks like we do have a couple of drivers entering the pits. Kyle and Oh Mama Sean entering the pits, looking to get rid of that those 8-lap-old mediums. Angel going into the pits and catching a 10-second penalty for speeding. So now with the top 2 having pit, we do have Mahazne trying to defend from El Capitan. El Capitan is going to have the DRS on this next upcoming straight. Mahazne, unfortunately, not with anything to defend himself except his battery, which might be enough to keep him ahead of the McLaren. And the Haas of Mahazne having a little bit of a snap right there, and unfortunately that is going to make him lose the position, although Mahazne is somehow getting the DRS there. But looks like El Capitan is going to be staying ahead, currently leading the race. We do have his rivals Garen Vitek and Kyle, who have just pit. So Kyle with a fresh set of hard tires, Garen Vitek having pit a lap earlier with 1 lap old hard tires. So I am curious to see when El Capitan is going to react, and looks like he's going to keep staying out. Oh, almost having a little bit of a wiggle right there on the exit, but still keeping it ahead. We do have Omama Shan, who had made the move on Vroom. But just looking at the drivers who have yet to pit, as I mentioned before, that is our top four. We have Vroom, who has not yet pit, and Turbo as well. Let's see, El Capitan still remaining ahead of Mahazne. I am curious to see where or when Buddha does pit, where he'll come out behind of Garen VTech, considering both of them were battling each other throughout quite a number of laps. And speaking of Garen VTech, we did see he got the overtake done on Vroom, considering he is on the fresher set of tires. But Kyle, now with Oliver Monster right ahead of him, Oliver Monster who has yet to pit, is he going to get in the way of the leader of the championship? And looks like no, Oliver is going to be going into the pits. And it seems like Mahazne has pit as well. So El Capitan trying to extend those medium tires, still remaining out, and has Kyle 13 seconds right behind him. And so Mama Shan getting the overtake done now. With the help of the DRS, it does get the flap open. However, Kyle is going to have the DRS on the next upcoming straight with that switch around. And he does have a really good exit, and looks like he's going to get past nice and easily. And it does seem like that 13 seconds has reduced to 11 seconds now behind of El Capitan. And speaking of El Capitan, so he has chosen to pit now. So we're going to take a look to see where he's able to come out and how far back he will be able to come out. So Mama Shan and Kyle getting past El Capitan in the pits. And Garen VTech now ahead as well. So El Capitan, it seems like he's going to be coming out right behind of Mahazne. And it does seem like we have the Williams of Paxman right behind of his teammate Oliver. Most likely trying to make the move on this next upcoming DRS straight. And I do see that we have yellow flags. However, I think that may be the Mercedes of Turbo losing out a little bit in Sector 1. But Paxman getting the flap open and is able to get the overtake done on his teammate Oliver, so pushing himself up to 7th. He does have Moron 1. Sorry, Oliver does have Moron 1 right behind them. Looks like not close enough to make a move yet. Kyle 0.3 actually might be closing in quite a bit on Mama Shan. So we'll keep an eye on these two, who are currently 5 seconds ahead of Garen VTech. And Omama Wembanyama Shan picking up the fastest lap with a 126.7. And so I do wonder how those tires are going to work out for El Capitan, who did lose a bit of time trying to extend those tires. However, he does have the pace, he does have the chance to really capitalize. Buddha now picking up a 3-second penalty. And as that happened, Kyle getting the move done on Omamashan. It looks like it's going to be a little bit of a switch around between these two McLarens. Oliver Monster having the DRS now. Looking to make the move on Paxton. More on one. Keep an eye on both of the Williams. And, oh, I think that was a little bit of a lockup for Paxton right there. But looking at the penalties, we do have Buddha, who is currently with 3 seconds. Brad as well. More on one with 13 seconds of penalties. And Angel with 16. And Kyle now picking up the fastest lap of 126.5. And for those who are watching for the first time, the fastest lap is an extra 2 points, considering we do have a point system that runs from first to last. Now, Garen Vitek picking up a 3-second penalty now for multiple warnings. So, of course, you never know if they can appeal those penalties. However, we'll stay with what we know. So Garen Vitek with 3 seconds does have Mahazne currently 1 second behind, and El Capitan 4 seconds behind him. We do have a little bit of a switch around between Kyle and Omama Wembanyama. So these two with the DRS is going to be helping them to extend that gap ahead of Garen Vitek. So Kyle in a really good position. Angel retiring in the pits, it seems. Actually, looks like he might have retired on the track, so I'll deal with that later. But it looks like our closest battles currently are Kyle and Omamashan. We do have Mahazin now less than a second behind of Garen Vitek. Alrighty, so Garen Vitek eating up a little bit of that time, 5.8 seconds behind of Kyle now. And Kyle going a little bit wide right there, but looks like it's not going to make him lose. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle right there on the exit. And so Omamashan is going to be remaining ahead. I did see that Guardians picked up a 3-second penalty. And Mahazne looking to make the move on the outside of Garen Vitek. And gets fully ahead before the corner is able to stay ahead. We do have Garen Vitek again with those 3-second penalties. So El Capitan 3.4 seconds behind of Garen Vitek. Just needs a little bit more to get within that those seconds of penalties. So Kyle, if I'm not I do wonder if he was serious about playing the national French anthem throughout the whole race. That might be why he's doing so well. I think he's already mentally prepared for the to hold the trophy. Let's see, Kyle closing in on the back of his French mate, Omamashan, and is going to get the pass done. Sean is going to have the DRS again, so it might be a little bit of a switch around between these two. But it looks like our other closest battle is again still with Garen Vitek and Mahazna. I do see yellow flags, and I think that might be the Mercedes of Turbo there in Sector 3. But looking back onto the track, Kyle remaining ahead of Omamashan. And Garen Vitek not close enough to make a move yet. And it does seem like El Capitan has closed up the gap a bit, 2.7 seconds behind of Garen Vitek, who, as I mentioned again, does have that 3-second penalty. And Turbo now picking up a 3-second penalty. So joining the penalty party. So we do have 8 laps remaining, including this one. And taking a look, considering all the drivers have pit, taking a look at the position changes. So we do have Oliver Monster, who is up 3 positions. Hafrenix up 4 positions. So first highest, Oliver second highest. And a little bit of a switch around in the positions between second and fifth. And unfortunately, higher PM losing out quite a bit on that spin on the final corner, down to 11th at the moment. And it does seem like we do have we have 2 yellow flags actually. So Moron 1 there in sector 1, and trying to get the car back onto the track. The other driver, that is this Turbo, trying to get his car straight. So both drivers sharing pretty much a similar mishap, and that is Moron 1 missing his both end plates, and quite an eaten up wing there. Man. So that is unfortunately going to have Guardians right on the back of him. I don't think Guardians picked up the DRS there. And so Turbo getting the move, letting the drivers pass of, I think that was Garen Vitek. But it looks like Guardians is able to get the move on Moron 1, who is unfortunately struggling with that wing damage, and it's most likely going to have to pit. We do have Kyle still remaining less than second behind of Omamashan. El Capitan now less than a second behind of Garen Vitek. And now El Capitan within the DRS of Garen Vitek is going to get the move done. Trying to go on the outside, is able to get past and up to 4th now. Kyle still remaining behind of Omamashan, having a little bit of a wiggle right there on right underneath the hotel. Jeez. And looks like Kyle is going to be entering the pits, getting rid of those 9-lap-old hards. Do wonder what the strategy call is here. Yeah, because if honestly, I think a 1-stop probably would have worked. He's going for another set of hards. And so Kyle is going to come out right behind of Buddha, it seems. Or right on the back of the McLaren. So close enough, most likely, to get the DRS on this next upcoming straight. He is going to have the cold tires, however, does have the battery and is going to defend the position. So Kyle now back up to 5th. Has quite a few ways to go. 10 seconds behind of Garen Vitek. So we'll be keeping an eye on that delta. But as I mentioned, El Capitan needs to finish ahead of Garen Vitek and Kyle to secure that championship title. looks like Oh Mama Shan is going to be going for the two stop as well, opting for the medium tires. We do have yellow flags, and I think that is the Ferrari of or actually that is the Mercedes of Guardians, who seems to have a bit of a spin and trying to get the car straight, losing multiple positions there, and unfortunately dropping down to 12th. Well, looks like Sean is going to be coming out right behind, less than a second behind of Kyle. So both of them with a very different look on the two-stop strategy. However, Kyle has closed a little bit of the gap. Now 8 seconds, what was 10 seconds behind of Gary Vitek, now 8 seconds. And that is another yellow flags. I think that is the Mercedes of JT Turbo. They're in sector 2, but looking back at these two, Kyle remaining ahead now 6 seconds. So might have actually been a good strategy call for Kyle there. So he's eaten up quite a bit of time. As I mentioned earlier, he came out 10 seconds behind of Gary Vitek, and even with the cold tires, putting in a fastest lap of 126.1 and 5.5 seconds behind of the Red Bull of Gary Vitek. So if Kyle's able to keep this pace going, I mean, it might be possible for him to catch up to El Capitan. El Capitan, who's about 3 seconds ahead of Gary Vitek. And Kyle is going to have a much better tire advantage. We do have Omar Sham with the fresh set of mediums now making the overtake down on the kick sauber of Kyle. And now Gary Vitek picking up another 3-second penalty, so that is going to be 6 seconds for the Red Bull of Gary Vitek. And so both Omar Mashan and Kyle are within those 6 seconds. I do see another yellow flags. I think that is the Mercedes of Turbo again. And the Aston Martin of Omar Shan is stealing the fastest lap with a 125.4. And it does look like he is getting away from Kyle a bit. So Kyle trying to hang on with the with that DRS there. Yeah, so his strategy call does have me raising eyebrows a little bit, but Kyle has a lot of pace, has oftentimes has quite a bit of consistency, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to really make something out of this. But both Omar Mashan and Kyle are closing in behind of Gary Vitek, now 2 seconds. Kyle getting out the overtake done on the Aston Martin. So El Capitan, who is currently over 4 seconds ahead of Gary Vitek. Kyle has 6 laps remaining to close in, and so we'll keep an eye on that delta. But I am curious to see how this is going to turn out. And again, I'll keep on mentioning for those who look away for a couple seconds and join back. El Capitan needs to finish ahead of Gary Vitek and Kyle to secure that championship title, which will honestly be an amazing comeback, considering Kyle has been leading that championship title for quite a number of weeks. Honestly, El Capitan just taking the lead on the standings just after last race. Let's see, we do have Kyle now closing in on his rival, Garen Vitek, trying to defend that inside line. And now we do have Omama Shan looking for the attack as well. And so Garen Vitek with the 15 lap old hard tires, not really able to do much to defend that position, especially considering he does have those 6 seconds of penalties. So now Kyle and Omama Shan have gotten Garen Vitek out of the way. Now really the chase is between Kyle and El Capitan, so Kyle with the 4 lap old hard tires, El Capitan with the 11 lap old hard tires. Can Kyle really use this tire difference to really make the really close in the gap and possibly get the championship title? Looks like we do have a little bit of a battle between Omama Shan and Kyle as well. Shan able to make the overtake. And so both the Aston Martin and the Kick Sauber are on the hunt for the McLaren. They have closed in quite a bit of the gap, 2.8 seconds now behind of El Capitan. And I feel like this might be a last a last lap battle with how much time is getting eaten up every lap. Uh, do want to open or take a look at the current standings just to make sure something. Oh, kind of going a little bit wide right there, but still remaining less than a second behind of the Aston Martin. Now Sean 1.5 seconds behind of El Capitan, closing in quite a bit. And it does seem like that is yellow flags. That might be one of the Williams. Actually, looks like that is the Williams of Paxaman, who has dropped quite a bit of time there. Now 14 seconds behind of high RPM. And so looks like they have closed in quite the gap, and now 1.3 seconds behind of El Capitan. Kyle holding on to the back of Omama Shan. They do have. It does seem like they do have the ghosting cars of the lapped drivers of Moron One, and I think that is the Mercedes of Guardians. I do like to remind the drivers, even if it's ghosting enabled, it is good to get out the way, considering some drivers race in the cockpit view. But it does seem like Omama Shan is going to get the DRS off of the Mercedes there. Kyle as well from Omama Shan. So that's going to help them to close in a little bit towards El Capitan. And oh, Kyle, a little bit of a snap there on the entering that final corner of Sector 2. But the kick sour of Kyle getting the overtake done on Omama Shan, still remaining less than half less than a second and a half behind of El Capitan. Now closing in quite a bit. Looks like looks like Kyle has locked in a little bit for these final 2 laps. However, El Capitan is less than a second behind of Mahazne. So he is going to have most likely the DRS on the next upcoming lap to really defend against Kyle. But Kyle coming in hot with the 8-lap-old hard tires compared to both Mahazne and Capitan's 15, 16-lap-old hard tires. I do wonder if Omamishan is going to try getting those overtakes done, considering it is the final race of the season. He hasn't had a win throughout the races, so yeah, curious to see Omamishan's game or sportsmanship, letting the drivers have their battle. Kyle trying to get the overtake done on El Capitan, trying to look for that move, and I think that was a bit of contact from between the Sour of Kyle and Omama Shan. So Shan now dropping down a couple positions. Oh, sorry, not a couple positions, a bit of time, considering Garen Vitek is quite a long way behind. But now Omama Shan over 4 seconds behind of Kyle. So this is most likely going to be our top battle between these three in the front. And they do have, that is the 4th driver of Moron 1 who is lapped. So he's going to be ghosted, and we are finishing up the penultimate lap. We are here now starting the final lap, and is Kyle going to be able to get the overtake done on El Capitan? Going for the inside move, and a little bit of contact between both the drivers, but both of them trying to give each other space. If I was Kyle, I'd probably wait for the DRS zones. And Capitan having a bit of a loss of control right there, and Kyle trying to go for the inside. Yeah, I don't think it was a smart move to go on the inside yet, but Kyle still closing in, trying to really get that move done. And we do have the V-Car Remora 1 who has picked up a 3-second penalty. El Capitan staying ahead, does have the DRS off of Mahazne. So Kyle with only a couple corners left to really make the attack. Is he going to be able to get the move done? If it stays like this, El Capitan is going to get the championship title for Tier 2. And Kyle trying to go on the inside, and no, that was not gonna say nothing, but ay Dios. Yeah, Kyle, honestly, now. El Capitan getting the move done, or remaining ahead, and El Capitan is going to cross the line, gets the win gets the second position for our last race here in Abu Dhabi of the season. And if it stays like this, he will be having the championship title for the group. And if I'm not mistaken, this is his first time ever in Tier 2, so a really good performance by him. And yeah, looking forward to seeing how the next season appears if some of these drivers decide to come back. But and we are just waiting for the Ferrari of Hafernix to get past, and that is going to be it. Actually, no, we're waiting for the Haas of Brad. Alrighty, so Brad Hall crossing the line, and that is going to finish our race for the season. and we'll take a look at our final grid. Alrighty, and our driver of the day, Pine, we'll take a look at how many positions he was able to make up. But Mahasnet with the win for our final race. Really phenomenal job. And El Capitan getting the second position, and if it holds the championship title for the Tier 2 group. And Kyle in third, sharing the podium as well. From fourth all the way to the end, we have Oh Mama Shan also picking up the fastest lap, extra 2 points of 125.8. From fifth all the way to the end, we have Garen Vitek, Buddha, Oliver, High RPM, Pine, Vroom, Paxtaman, Hafernix, Moron 1, Guardians, Brad Hall, Turbo, Eingil. Well, actually, there are only 2 DNFs, Eingil and KP. And so that ends our season, and we're honestly looking forward to seeing them back next season. More information is going to come out. A couple questionable moves in that last lap, but I mean, I'll leave that to the stewards. But honestly, phenomenal race. Very excited to see how it turned out. And El Capitan, well deserved, I think. High performance this whole season, very consistent attendance. Didn't miss any races, really, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, that's what consistency and showing up does. Really. But, yeah, really great job from these guys. We do have our 2 more races to finish up, which is our Gnosis Division 1 and our Gnosis Division 2. Division 1 will be tonight, and Division 2 will be on Wednesday night. So we'll catch those 2 later, and yeah, that will end our season. So as I mentioned to the drivers, more information will come out, especially after our race, our final race on Wednesday. But yeah, phenomenal job to these guys. Big congratulations, and we do really appreciate all the effort that they do to show up and really race with all their passion. So, but anyways, our Gnosis Division 1 group will be starting in about an hour and 15. So make sure you like and subscribe. Yeah, you'll get the notification for when those races are on. But yeah, we'll catch you guys later. Thank you for watching, those who cheered on their friends here on the group, and we appreciate it. So have a good night, good evening, good morning, wherever you guys are watching from, and we'll catch you guys then.